With the last pick in this year's draft.
Imagine this. It's 1993 in Chicago, and you are a fan of the Chicago Bulls. And we aren't just talking about any old Chicago Bulls team. This is the Michael Jordan-led, NBA-dominating, just came off a repeat, headed to a three-peat Chicago Bulls. This is a team that you grew up loving and rooting for. You watch every single game, especially the home games, because you know how extravagant those games can be. But during those home games, it's something that happens at halftime that catches your eye. The $1 million shot. You watch countless people fail this shot, but then one day you decide, hey, let me shoot my shot. So you purchase a ticket and you go to a home game. You're watching the first half of the game, amazed by what Michael Jordan is doing to the Miami Heat. You're patiently awaiting for halftime, and then all of a sudden it's time to take your shot. You walk down to the court. Mind you, this is a full court shot. You're only about 15 feet away from Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Phil Jackson, and you also know that this game is sold out. It is the 1993 Chicago Bulls. So it's about 20,000 people in the arena watching you and millions more on TV. But that doesn't bother you. You remain calm. You take the ball, you shoot it, swish. You just won $1 million.
The guy made it. That young man being hugged has just won $1 million here at Chicago Stadium.
Or so you think, because after the shot, you were told that you won't be receiving a penny. That's what happened to 23-year-old Don Calhoun. Don, who grew up in Chicago, was in love with the game of basketball. And I mean, how could you not be? I would be in love with the game of basketball too if I could watch Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen play every night live on TV. However, this love for basketball would have Don and his brother at the park working on their game. As time went on and Don felt like his skills got better, high school came around. And unfortunately for our boy Don, he did not make the high school team. But this minor roadblock didn't stop Don from pursuing his basketball dreams. Don went on to play basketball on a college level. However, it was the community college route. And I want to say this, just because you go the community college route doesn't mean that you're not good enough. There are plenty of NBA legends that went the community college route. And I'm here to tell you that someone on a community college team will still give you unlimited buckets. So please, do not think less of somebody for going the community college route. But as Don is doing his thing as a student athlete, life happens. Don's girlfriend reveals to him that she's pregnant. In understanding the magnitude of the situation, Don decides to step away from his basketball dreams and college. He decides to get a job as an office supply salesman. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with trying to provide for your family. It's actually very commendable. You're putting your ultimate dreams aside to step up and be a man for your family. So kudos to you, Don. And although Don was no longer on the court, the game of basketball was still a love of his. And being that the greatest basketball player of all time is playing for your city, that kind of makes basketball even easier to love. Which brings us to 1993. Don bought his tickets that night with the intentions of attempting the $1 million shot. He's seen so many people miss this shot time after time after time, but he figured he would be the one who actually make the shot. Hey, this should be a lesson to a lot of y'all. Shoot your shot. Don stepped onto the court and he was just a mere 15 feet away from one of the greatest teams ever assembled. Or just Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Phil Jackson. But you can only imagine the type of nerves he was experiencing. Oh yeah, and did I mention, this is a full court shot. He couldn't step past the free throw line on the other side of the court. And also, to make things worse, he couldn't take a normal jump shot. He had to throw it with one hand. Yeah, it always gotta be a catch somewhere. Don palmed the ball in his hands. As he dribbled it around, he cocked back and threw the ball. As the ball was sailing through the air, Don was thinking a multitude of things. He thought that he threw the ball too far and that it was going to hit the shot clock. But as the shot continued to go forward, sink! He made the shot. The shot that had become known as the Calhoun shot. This shot was on the cover of every newspaper. He even received praise from Michael Jordan. Think about this. As a 23-year-old kid, the GOAT, the greatest basketball player of all time on your favorite team, says that it was a great shot. That's something you can tell your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids. That's actually something to hold on to. Chicago Bulls forward Horace Grant said, "It took me 3 years to make $1 million, but took him 3 seconds." In that moment, I'm sure Don felt like he was on top of the world. And don't worry, we're going to get to the part that you all are wondering about, but first let's just do some math. The math on these high-stake contests works like this. Brokers come up with the likelihood that a random fan would make a full court shot. which is about less than 1%. They then take the 1% and divide it into the prize amount. Oh yeah, I probably failed to mention that this isn't the Chicago Bulls contest. This was a contest put on by a local insurance company. A local insurance company that the Chicago Bulls sponsored. Each time the contest aired, $20,000 will be exchanged from entity to entity. The contest aired 19 times, so about $380,000 was made off of this contest. So pretty much they're offering more money than what was made on the contest. And since they didn't think anyone was going to make the shot, they thought that it would just go on and they'll just continue to make more money. So once Don won the contest, the insurance company came back with all the fine print. One key stipulation was that the contestant in the contest could not have any organized basketball background. And to be honest, that's pretty stupid. You tell the contestants that they can't take a regular jump shot and they must throw the ball with one hand. But now it matters if they have basketball background? Like, nothing about a one-handed full court shot screams basketball background. It just screams luck to me. But I digress. Now remember early in the story we said that Don had some community college basketball experience. The insurance company used that to try to disqualify Don. Don stated that on the forms to enter the contest, he put that he had some community college basketball experience. However, the insurance company was not trying to hear it and they disqualified Don. Pretty much saying we ain't paying you ish. The weekend after Don won the contest, news outlets start to report that Don was not going to get his $1 million prize money. This prompted the Bulls to hold a news conference about the situation. In this very press conference, Don sat next to Jerry Reinsdorf, the Bulls owner, with several other contest sponsors. Local restaurants, Coca-Cola, and the Chicago Bulls stated that they would pay the $1 million award to ensure that Don had a happy ending. Look, you can say whatever it is that you want to say, but that's some real ish. Man, shout out to the owner of the Chicago Bulls. Don would eventually hear back from the insurance company agreeing to pay him the money. However, it had to be a catch. He would receive the money in 20 annual $50,000 payments. Now, to be completely honest with you, I wouldn't be mad at that. Yes, it's not enough money to retire with. Let's say you work a regular 9-to-5 job and you make about $70,000 a year. You can't tell me another $50,000 wouldn't be a help. So again, I'm not mad at that. Now, it's not stated how the insurance company and the sponsors worked out how they're going to pay out the money, but it didn't matter. Don got his money. He was just happy that he wasn't going to leave this ordeal empty-handed. For the next 20 years, Don received $50,000 per year. And you already know Uncle Sam is going to come take his piece of the pie. So of the $50,000 that he was receiving, about $12,000 of that was for taxes. So he was receiving about $38,000. And again, an extra $38,000 is more than helpful, especially if you're keeping your day job. Don stated that it was a nice bit of money to add on to what he was already making, but it wasn't the life-changing money that he thought it would be. And I can understand where Don is coming from. We're talking about a $1 million check after taxes. You're probably bringing home about what, $700,000? To see $700,000 in a lump sum like that would be life-changing, but I just feel like getting it every year made the money last longer. It's just in my humble opinion, I could be wrong. And you would think since it was in 1993, it would be some type of inflation. Absolutely not. $50,000 is $50,000. You already know they're not about to give you more money. They barely wanted to give you the money that you were owed. Don would later state in an interview, it was more like a bump within the middle class and not the road to riches that he thought it would be. And I get it, Don may have not accumulated the generational wealth that he thought he would, but he did get a generational breakthrough. Those annual installments paid for 3 of his 4 children to go to college. One became a nurse, another became a teacher, and his son became a doctor. So I guess we could say the blessing was in the small print.